So, November 27th as we count down towards the holidays, and again, let's see what the Advent calendar has in store for us today. So, the first item on the that the Advent calendar has in store for us today is we're now past the single ho ratings. We're up to the double ho ratings, the ho-hos. And these are they're okay. I don't mind watching them every year. They're not actually bad. Now, the first one is quite an interesting case. I actually struggled with rating it a little higher in the ho 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 category. And this is a 1977 version of A Christmas Carol, starring Michael Hordern, who as Scrooge. Michael Hordern was one of the great Shakespearean actors of the 20th century, and he was the man who played Marley in the Alastair Sim 1951 version of Scrooge. So he himself, after giving a wonderful performance as Marley, goes on to give his own wonderful performance as Scrooge. I actually do watch it perhaps a couple of times a year. It is an interesting adaptation. It's one of the darker adaptations. It doesn't pull any punches about the extreme poverty and about the misery that Scrooge creates around him. You see the Cratchits, they're dirty, they're living in squalor, but they manage to be happy. Also, interesting appearance by Bernard Lee, the actor who played M in the James Bond movies, actually shows up as the Ghost of Christmas Present in this as well, and what was probably one of his final roles. I think his last appearance as M in the Bond movies was in 1979, and he died not too long after that. Also, a lot of very interesting actors, British actors with the Royal Shakespeare Company, or with the National Theatre that you usually don't see on film or TV in this. So it's actually interesting and worth a look. Why have I given it a ho-ho rating? Because it's a BBC Christmas special, the production values are really bad, so unfortunately a lot of the sets are not convincing, a lot of the staging is just not convincing, and it's shot on early video cameras, early tube video cameras, and you can actually see a lot of ghosting in a lot of the images. Whenever anything's done by candlelight, you can see ghosting left, right, and center. So for those reasons, I've had to give it a ho-ho rating. So going back to the calendar and looking at the other thing we're going to look at today, another interesting piece that's worth a look, Henry Winkler in An American Christmas Carol. Now, I think it's kind of ironic that they call this An American Christmas Carol because it was filmed basically around Toronto, and with the exception of Henry Winkler, just about everybody in it is a notable Canadian actor. It's not bad, it's sort of okay. Winkler certainly does show that he has the acting chops in his performance as the Scrooge character, who's called Benedict Slade. Winkler does do a very good job. At this point, I think he was a young man. He was in his 30s, so he does a good job of playing an old man quite well. The problem is the adaptation of the Scrooge story from basically industrial era England into Depression era, what is supposed to be the United States, doesn't really work that well in terms of why would you change the setting? Changing the setting doesn't seem to have really added anything new to the interpretation, other than just giving the filmmakers an excuse to call it a uniquely American Christmas Carol. There doesn't seem to be any reason for the displacement of the setting beyond that. So it doesn't really add anything new. It retells the story competently. It's worth a look every year. But certainly Henry Winkler does show, and this was at the height of his popularity of the Fonz, that he is quite a capable actor, capable of quite a range of performances, and a lot of fine Canadian actors that you don't see a lot also show up in this as well. So rated ho-ho, but certainly worth a look. All right, well, I hope you've enjoyed this mini review. I look forward to sharing some more of my favorite Christmas specials with you tomorrow. Thank you.